All right, so I'm talking to Kelvin Nyame from MeQasa. Kelvin, thanks so much for talking to me today.
No worries, my pleasure, everyone.
So could you start by telling us a little bit about MeQasa? Where do you operate? When were you founded? That sort of thing.
We actually celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. So that tells a story. It's been a 10-year journey, a very not straightforward journey. It's been up and down, up and down. We started a business in 2013, somewhere around June. So exactly around June, we should be celebrating that anniversary. I mean, of course, we have a lot of different activities throughout the year before we climax it in June. We are listing real estate website, so it's again no-brainer. Agents, developers, homeowners post on our website, and we charge an advertisement fee. So that's the basic business model. In addition to that, we also organize events. So before COVID, we used to do two major events. It's a housing fair, so it's an outdoor event where we charge real estate developers and other ancillary service providers a fee to advertise or buy a booth or space, and then we attract home buyers or investors to come around and hopefully close some deals on the day or have viewings after the fair. We've also explored,
So that I know that a lot of real estate portals in developing markets have that kind of model. They have these events where developers come and they charge a fee. Firstly, is that like a big money spinner for you guys? And also, how has it been since COVID? You mentioned before COVID, that's what you were doing. Have you been able to do it post-COVID as well?
I mean, post-COVID, yes. We took about 2 years break. From the offline event, but we tried replicating that online. I mean, of course, the experience is different. So success stories, not anything that I'm proud of. But then since we COVID and we came back last year, was a big bang. We did double the revenue that we projected, which was great for us. The patronage was also very high. We saw more than 2,000 people coming for both days. We normally do it for Saturdays and Sundays. We had more sponsors that we didn't anticipate, so there were more people competing for sponsorship slots. So it's giving us looking at the percentage that is contributed to our revenue, especially for last year. We are hoping that moving forward, if we're able to focus more and grow more there, there's a lot of revenue to capture, and obviously we need to create more value. And so we need to be more creative around how to create more value and measure that properly, because now developers are asking for more beyond just the numbers that are coming in. They want to see deals happen, either on the day or maybe a few weeks or few months after the event. So yes, we need to also look at the quality of the traffic as well, and see how we can to generate that. So yeah, I think it's especially for this market, it's working, and so we just have to focus on that and grow it. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned offline events are quite a big contributor. You also mentioned there that it's developers. So I want to ask a bit about your business model. I imagine it's a freemium model where you list for free and then kind of more exposure is paid, and that's how you guys make the money. I also imagine it's mainly in primary real estate and maybe not so much in secondary. Am I right, or am I getting something wrong there?
Yes, so slightly different from what you just described. So we don't technically have a freemium model. I'll explain that. Every listing on our website is paid for. So immediately you create an account. We do have like a sales pipeline, where we try to give you a freemium. So it's you create a free account, and we encourage you to list your property because we want you to complete your profile. And in completing your profile, it includes verifying you. So you have to submit a business document or an ID, depending on how you subscribe. If you subscribe as a business, then we need that document. If you subscribe as a freelancer, we need a personal ID. Then beyond that, we also want to make sure you are a bit committed. So we want to take your listings. So we open the dashboard for you to list, and that window is 2 weeks, but you don't get the listings up, actively for that 2 weeks. It's just to complete your profile. But we sometimes trigger some of the listings to go up within the 2 weeks for like a day or two, so that you experience that if you are finding it difficult to close you, to see whether some calls will come in, some messages, some leads will come in. So technically, that window is only open for 2 weeks, but the main goal for that 2 weeks is just to get your profile up, for you to get to understand to use the dashboard, that mobile app. And then also we trigger some active listings, so that in case you are still not seeing value, maybe some calls will come in. But beyond that, if you don't pay, there's nothing, everything just goes back to dormant. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to pay to list. And then I think the main market here is secondary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know there's more money in the primary. So there are more secondary listings than there are for primary listings. Yeah.
Okay, I was interested doing a bit of research about Ghana, that there's obviously there's horizontal competitors and vertical competitors. Who would you say are your main competitors? Is it the horizontals or is it the verticals?
Of course, it will be the verticals, because the market is very open, and there's very rarely do you get exclusivity if you're an agent. So people are looking for where the high quality leads are. Very difficult for these horizontals to get high quality leads. So the verticals are always, our competition. I mean, a lot of the time, if you go to the horizontals, you will see very low end agents who cannot afford to advertise some of these high end properties. So when they want free things, they go to the horizontals. But when they know that they want to really sell and they want to really get high quality leads, they all come to. And in the primary market, almost everybody in the primary market, or that huge market, everybody wants the vertical. None of them. I mean, in Ghana, here, it's very rare to see a developer advertise on a horizontal website. So
okay.
Yeah, that's the market. Yeah.
What is then the biggest challenge for you guys operating in a market like Ghana without, I mean, I know in a lot of developing markets, they rely very heavily on the primary real estate. Would you say that maybe the lack of a real big primary market is perhaps the biggest challenge for you guys, or is it something else?
Yes, I think it's still maturing. I think it's the rate at which we expect it to grow. It's not happening as we expect, especially if you want to focus on the obvious business model, which is, let's charge developers, let's charge for advertisement. If you want to focus on that, of course, you want more people to be able to afford to buy homes, and that's also brings in the factor of mortgage. Those who cannot pay upfront, how's the mortgage market looking like? How many people are willing to give loans at whole rate? And again, you have to look at who is in the working class, how many people are getting good jobs, how much are they earning on a daily. So all of these economics do not really make sense for the growth that we expect if we want to focus solely on just advertisement. So I think that's the biggest. Of course, there are challenges. This challenge also opens other opportunities. So you have to look at where else can you focus on to make more money. And I think, yeah, okay, maybe you want to stop me there, it's fine.
No, it's all right. It's all right. What you were saying there was interesting, because it kind of leads me on to my next question, which is, so you mentioned there that maybe the Ghanaian market maybe hasn't matured as you perhaps expected when you founded it, the portal 10 years ago. What is the state of foreign investment in Ghanaian real estate portals, Ghanaian classifieds in general at the moment? Obviously, we know that Frontier Digital Ventures divested from MeQasa in Q4 of 2022. Is it because maybe they didn't see the maturing of the market, like you said, or is it something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think state of the market now, it's not, I mean, of course, there's been some improvement. 10 years ago, I would say I was doing almost everything in terms of the sales. So I know how difficult it was to convince people to pay to come online and to try and explain the value to them. Because most of them would prefer to do the traditional marketing. So that there's been a switch from, from that aspect. And obviously, once there are more competition, whether it's horizontal or vertical in the market, they also contribute their quota because everybody is training the market, training their customers. So that made it very easy. Now, the challenge again is how do you grow? Because if you're growing month on month or so year on year, you expect after 10 years to, maybe double or maybe do close to 40%, 30% yearly. And that's not happening if you continue to focus on just the obvious. FDV, like I said, from my understanding, they are trying to focus more on emerging markets. It could also be that they are not really seeing where based on the economics, and obviously the COVID and the Ukraine war, maybe they are trying to avoid, the challenges that Africa may suffer, in the near short term, maybe in the next 5 years, 6 years. And I think we cannot run away from that. The world is suffering generally, financially. And Africa obviously stands to suffer more if we don't get a lot of support. So I think that will obviously affect real estate. I mean, because it's not one of the, especially in this part of the world, it's not one of the areas where you want to place as priority if your income level drops. You don't want to, be investing, buying property. I mean, I'm sure you want to take care of your basic needs first. So I think that obviously was going to shrink the market, and that was a fear if you look at just projecting advertisement. But again, there's obviously a huge opportunity in terms of the deficit. It's there. The houses that are available now is not enough for the population, the growing class. It's again the estimate. If you look at the statistical service, they say 2 million deficit year on year. I think it's probably more than 2 million house unit deficit. But the problem is, how do these investors get money to build to meet, the economy, the people who can afford, and how do we get banks and other financial sectors to come in and support with loans? Because it's still the challenge of addressing system, how to find people, how to locate people, and the security of job for people as well, and developments, infrastructure developments in other areas where there are bare lands that needs to be developed, and the cost of buying that land in terms of legally. I mean, that also is not properly structured. So there are challenges if you just look at those variables and try to make meaning of those variables. There are some challenges. And so if you're an investor, a VC, you start looking into the unit economics, and it may not be too, the picture may not be too exciting in the next 5 years, especially with the general economic challenges that's happening. So that's what I have to say on that front.
Okay, that's the kind of maybe not so happy side of it. What about some good things? I want to ask, like, what kind of innovations, what success stories, what exciting things in prop tech or just real estate in general have you seen in Africa that I should know about, and that maybe some of our listeners or some of our readers should know about?
Yeah, so I mean, I think, like I said, beyond the challenges, obviously opportunities, right? We are starting to look at the consumer side. I mean, if you're a real estate portal in Africa, I think you should start to think about how do you monetize around your consumers, because that's something that we really haven't explored or discussed here in Africa. Maybe it's happening elsewhere, because currently a lot of the portals here are focusing on agents, developers, homeowners. But how about the millions of people who are using your website on a monthly basis? What are their needs? Because we all know that the market is not properly regulated. So they definitely have needs. The diaspora, are they asking about the documentation? How do they find the right property? How do they register these properties? Are they asking about legal services? How do they find a good lawyer that can help them through the process? Are they trying to build their own property and looking for a construction company and somebody to guide them and help them, manage the process of building their homes? Because some of them are the diaspora, they live, abroad, or some of them are locally here. So all of these are huge opportunities that we want to start to focus on and see how we can monetize these thousands of consumers who are visiting our site. In the meantime, while we look at how we can grow from the obvious business model, which is the agents and the developers and the homeowners. Second thing is the mortgage, rental mortgage. Again, these are peculiar challenges to us here in Ghana, where if you wanted to rent a unit, for example, you are supposed to pay minimum, 12 months advance. That seems to be a lot of money. I mean, if it's a $500 property, you have to multiply that by 12. So you should be looking at almost $6,000 that you have to pay cash to the landlord. So how do we come in, and be the mediator where either we are the one, we take an advance, 5 months, 6 months, 3 months with some deposit and security, and we charge you premium for it. Because we have the platform, we can easily rent the property back. Of course, we can do due diligence and know exactly how long it takes for these particular properties to go off the market and manage our risks. And we can work with a financial institution and solve that problem. And once you solve that problem, of course, apart from getting more money, every tenant or every buyer wants to come to your website because they know they're going to get financial assistance there, and that automatically, gives you access to the traffic, the market, because the other competitors are not really offering anything than just listing on their platform, and so on and so forth. So that's how we are looking at it from, there's the opportunity of, allowing people to co-own apartments, so fractional real estate. Again, like I said, these are peculiar challenges. So real estate developers, spending huge sums of money, sometimes loan, sometimes facing money to put up these units, and they want to sell. Their main goal is they want to get it off the market quickly. I don't think their concern is how many people own it. So if we can get more people to buy the properties quicker and, to diversify their investment, where the returns is shared based on your equity or, your stake in the property, that's also a unique way of solving this problem. And that also puts us in a very good position. There are different ways that we have to think through some of these solutions to get it right. But at least, these are big opportunities that we are looking to explore and see whether we can create a huge market or business out of these opportunities. Yeah.
All right, interesting. Really interesting. The idea of fractional ownership and being the payer of the entrance fee for renters as well. It's interesting stuff. All right, Kelvin, we've run out of time, but thank you so much for talking to us today. I look forward to reading more about MeQasa soon in the future.
All right, thank you, Edmond, and let's chat again when you're ready.